We start the show with some breaking news. Russia's Supreme Court has designated Ukraine's Azov Regiment as a terrorist group. Now, the decision may allow harsh sentences against the Azov fighters, who are now Russian prisoners of war. The Azov Regiment is a Ukrainian military unit with a far-right and nationalist background. It was the focus of Russia's claims about fascist elements in Ukraine. Many were involved in the months-long siege at a steel plant in Mariupol. Russian-backed separatists have called for them to be executed. And I'll be talking to our correspondent in Kyiv for reactions in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at what the Azov Regiment is.
This was the Azov Steelworks earlier this year. Inside, thousands of fighters from the so-called Azov Regiment. From within the tunnels under the steel plant, the regiment's leaders sent out video messages.
This is our appeal to the world. This could be the last appeal of our lives. We are probably facing our last days, if not hours. The enemy outnumbers us 10 to 1.
They didn't last much longer. Ordered to surrender by the government in Kyiv, the steel plant's defenders were taken prisoner. Russian officials called them Nazis. The group does have a far-right history. It was founded in 2014 as a volunteer militia to fight pro-Russian separatists in the Donbass region. Current members have rejected being called nationalists or radicals. However, they say they're patriots. Russian media also said the group mistreated civilians in Mariupol, but without evidence. Videos showed fighters helping civilians evacuate in the days before the surrender. Since then, the captured fighters have become pawns in the game, potential assets in an eventual swap or ceasefire negotiations, as the war grinds on without them.
And for more on this, we can bring in DW's Birgitta Schuke, who is in Kyiv. Birgitta, can you tell us what's the likely reaction going to be to this news in Kyiv?
We just spoke to family members of the soldiers of the Azov Regiment, and they told us they are deeply shocked. And the only official reaction they want to give is that they want Russia to put on an international terror list. For many here, this news in Ukraine comes as a shock, even though we don't have any official governmental reaction, because the soldiers of the Azov Regiment, after having defended the Mariupol, city of Mariupol, for so long, are really heroes, and even after they have surrendered to the Russian. And this news also comes in a moment only 3 days after a detention facilities where soldiers of the Azov Regiment were detained was attacked, and several dozen of these fighters were killed. Ukraine and Russia are blaming each other for this, but the indications of the evidence seems as if Russia was responsible for that attack. That's at least the assessment here in Ukraine, that Russia tried to hide evidence of mistreatment and killings. So there have been a lot of protests already about this topic, and many also here in Ukraine have demanded to put Russia on this terror list.
So they're seen as heroes in Ukraine. They are prisoners of war in Russia, deserving of harsh punishment. Can you give us any more information about what this decision might mean for the Azov fighters currently being held by Russia?
When those 2,500 fighters of the Azov Regiment surrendered in Mariupol, they were given the guarantee that they would be treated as prisoners of war. And according to the Geneva Convention, that would mean that it's not allowed to charge them only because they were part of this fighting. But now with claiming that they are a terrorist organization, that can change, and Russia can can actually start charging them, and they might face even death penalty. And a lawyer I just talked to here in Ukraine, who's representing a lot of families of those Azov Regiment fighters, he told me it might be also like maybe only a political game, that Russia only tries to rise the price, if to say so, of those fighters, to have them in like a prisoner swap, get more Russian prisoners out of. But definitely many here are very, very worried about this, because we have been seeing this pattern over the past months, that Russia started again and again criminalize prisoners of war. And this worries many here, because many have family or friends in the army, and nobody knows if one of them will be a prisoner of war at times.
Birgitta Schulke in Kyiv, thanks so much.